All right, 5.2, use linear equations in slope-intercept form. So these are kind of a continuation of what we were doing in 5.1, okay, where we were getting the slope and the y-intercept and we were writing the equation of the line. And in some cases, we had to find the slope and then just pull the y-intercept point out. Now, they're either going to give you a slope and a point, or they're going to give you 2 points where you have to find the slope and then also find the y-intercept. So they're a little bit more work for what you have to do. So the steps to do this. So steps to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So first we identify the slope m. And we can either do this by the slope formula, or it'll be given to you. So that if you were going to have to use the slope formula, it would give you 2 points, and then you would use that. Step 2, we find the y-intercept. So to do that, we substitute the slope and the coordinates of a point xy on the line y equals mx plus b, and solve for b. So we could do this by them either giving you 1 point in the slope or 2 points. You find the slope, and then you use one of them to find the y-intercept. And then step 3, write the equation. Plugging in m and b into y equals mx plus b. So, if we had something like number 4, that is the point 5, 1, and the slope is 2. Then what we're going to do, okay, the slope is already identified. It's already given to us, okay? So then what I need to do is I need to find the y-intercept. So I'm given a slope and I have a point. So I'm going to plug this into the equation y equals mx plus b. Plug in everything that we know, and we're going to solve for b, which is our intercept. So we're going to do y, which is 1, is equal to m is 2 times x is 5 plus b. So this is x, y, m. And we're plugging into y equals mx plus b. So then 2 times 5 is 10. So I have 1 is equal to 10 plus b. So I need b by itself, so I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So 1 minus 10 would be negative 9. So that's my intercept. Okay, so that's step 2. Okay, so step 1 was given to me. This is step 2 of solving for the intercept. So then on to step 3 now. We write the equation as y equals m was 2, x, and then it's obviously it's normally plus b, but since this is a negative number, it's going to be minus 9. Any questions about that before we do another one? Okay. It'll make sense the more that we do. Like, if you're like, I'm really confused on what she just did, it's just going to take some time. It's fine. All right, so then the next one, same instructions. We have the point 5, negative 5, and a slope of negative 2. So I'm going to start out with labeling everything. So x, y, m obviously is already labeled. And I'm solving for b. Okay? So step 1, we've already identified our slope. So then y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in everything but b because I have all the pieces except for b. So I'm going to plug in y is negative 5 is equal to m is negative 2 times x, which is 5, plus b. So negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. So negative 5 is equal to negative 10 plus b. I'm going to add 10 over. So negative 5 plus 10 is positive 5. So b is 5. So this is step 2. I found the y-intercept. And then now, step 3, I rewrite. So what would my equation of the line be?
Y equals negative 2x plus 5.
Yep. Let's see, let's look at 8. So this one, it's the point negative 3, negative 11, and a slope of 1/2. Now, obviously, you probably see the fraction and are like, oh no, I'm going to have to multiply a fraction. But it shouldn't end up being too bad, I don't think. So, well, this one, it's at least only 1/2. So, I've identified my slope, step 1. I'm going to label x and y. And then I need to find my y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to plug in x and y and my slope. So negative 11 is equal to 1/2 times negative 3 plus b. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an improper fraction initially. And actually when we're doing slope problems like this, we usually leave them improper. Like even your book will leave them improper. Okay, now if you change it to a mixed number in the end, that's okay, but your book will leave it improper. And that's typically how I will leave it. So negative 11 is equal to 1/2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 3/2 plus b. So I'm going to move this over, so I'm adding 3/2 to both sides. So now I have negative 11 plus 3/2 is equal to b. Now, if I want to add things together, what do they have to have if they're fractions?
It's not.
Yeah, a denominator or a common denominator. So I need to multiply this one by 2 over 2. Okay, so this is negative 11 times 2 over 2. So this is going to be negative 11 times 2 on the top. So that's going to be negative 22 over 2 plus 3 over 2 is equal to b. And remember, we keep the denominator when we add, so we just are changing the top. So negative 22 plus 3 is going to be negative 19 is going to be equal to b. So that's going to end up being step 2. So obviously that one had a little more work because there were fractions. Sometimes that'll happen. The odd one that's a fraction ends up giving a y-intercept that's a whole number, so things are going to cancel. So if you can cancel, like if this was, let's say if it was 18 over 2 instead, I would reduce that down because I can. But since it's an odd number on top and even on the bottom, I can't take anything out in this case. So what would my equation of my line end up being? Y equals what?
One half x minus 19 over 2.
Yep, so it's always y equals mx plus b, so we just plug it in. So that's another reason to write this here, because when you write it the first time, you're writing it to solve for your intercept, and then after that, you are plugging all the stuff in, leaving y and x, and then plugging in m and b this time. All right, I'm going to do one of the ones that we have to find the slope, number 12. Try to get through this one before I leave. So 3, 2, and then 4, 9. So we need to use the slope formula to find slope first. He usually sits back there, so. All right, so how would I find the slope? Because that's the first thing I need to do.
9 minus 2. And then 4 minus 3.
Yep. So that's going to be 7 over 1. So that'll just be 7 is our m. So step 1, I've identified my slope. It wasn't given to me, so I found it. Okay? Now, the best part of step 2 is I can pick either point, and it will give me the same answer, okay, to find my intercept. So you can pick whichever point is your favorite. So which one do you want to use? The first one or the second one?
The first one.
First one? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to say the second one?
Yeah.
All right, so step 2, we're going to find our y-intercept. So I'm going to write down my equation, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to go ahead, and since I'm using this one, I'm going to go ahead and identify x and y. I've identified m here, so now I'm plugging that in, okay? So I have 2 is equal to 7 times x is 3 plus b. So then 2 is equal to 7 times 3 is 21 plus b. Then I subtract 21 from both sides. So 2 minus 21 is negative 19 is equal to b. So I've got my slope, I've got my y-intercept now. So step 3, I need to write my equation of the line. So what is it?
Y equals 7x plus, net minus 19.
Yep, minus 19. So yes, generally the formula is plus, but since this number is negative, that's why we change it to a negative. I want to reiterate that because sometimes people get confused and think that, oh, the formula has a minus when they go to do problems because so many of the answers will end up with a minus sign. So I like to specify that. All right, let's go ahead and do one more of those, and then that way I can give y'all a couple more problems to do with that. 14, the point is -2, 8, and the other one is -6, 0. So I need to find my slope first. So how would I do that?
0 minus 8. And then -6 minus 2.
Okay, so then minus the minus is going to be plus. Oh. So then I have on top -8 over -6 plus 2 is
-4.
-4. -8 divided by -4 is
2.
Yep.
Just
No.
2.
Yep, +2 because they're both negative, so it becomes positive. So then now, step 2, I need to find my y-intercept. Now, in my personal opinion, if I have something that has a 0 as one of my numbers, I'm going to pick that point. But it does not matter. Okay? Just telling you from my personal experience, it will save you technically a step. So, but if you want to use the first point, you can decide which point do you want to use. The second one. Okay. So I'm going to write my formula, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to, slope is already identified. I'm going to identify x and y. So I have 0 is equal to 2 times -6 plus b. So 2 times -6 is -12. So then I need to move it over, add 12 to both. So that's 12 is equal to b. So I have a slope, I have a y-intercept, so my equation of my line is going to be what?
Y equals 2x plus 12.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yep. Go with that?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right, so then your problems that I would like you to work on, and obviously I know it was kind of a quick lesson, so if you have questions tomorrow, feel free to ask. It's going to be 3, 5, 7. Now 7 is a slope that's a fraction, but your y-intercept is going to come out to be a whole number. Okay, so things are going to cancel nicely, or at least according to the answer in the book, it's going to cancel nicely. And then 11 and 13. So 11 and 13 are going to be like the last two we did. 3, 5, and 7 are going to be like the first 3 we did.